Thank you.
And then I just wrote on there, since we're kind of revamping right now, so if you'll just tell them to.
Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and start this parade, even though I have no authority whatsoever to do that.
No one in this room has.
Yeah. Dick's the one with the authority, and he apparently is not here yet. So appreciate everybody coming in today. Good group. As many of you know, one of our goals at the PPACG for this year is to enhance the both the size and authority, I guess is the best way to put it, of this particular group. We're in the process of internally looking at some of the documents that pertain, and particularly the bylaws that pertain to this group, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the meeting. But probably the first thing to do is go around and do introductions. I see a lot of new faces. My name is Joe Urban. I am the director of the Area Agency on Aging. We are kind of we're a host for this organization and a monitor, for lack of a better term. I'm sorry, I was supposed to give that instruction and I forgot. If you don't know how to use the microphones, there's a little kind of face with right in the middle. Right in the middle, I just hit it. Please use that so that it will be recorded appropriately. We can have up to 6 of these on at the same time. After that, it won't let you put the 7th one on. So turn it off when you're done.
Good morning, Karen Teal with Drive Smart Colorado.
But you have to talk into it, people.
I did.
Oh, I'm not in charge.
Brian Champion.
Yeah, you're not in charge yet.
Mountain Metro Transit.
One more thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry. The sign-in sheet is going around. If you do not have a name tag already, please note what you would like on that name tag somewhere on that sheet. You can put it down at the bottom, on the back, wherever you want to, just so we can get you one made for next time.
One more time.
Brian Champion, Mountain Metro Transit.
Waukesha Green, Invita.
Greg Pruitt, Invita.
Miley Gray, Drive Smart Colorado.
Lucy Cruz Laporte, Discover Goodwill.
Rosa McCormick, City of Fountain.
Sharon Brown, City of Fountain.
Jolene Houseman, Fountain Valley Senior Center.
Jason DeBueno with SilverKey.
Victoria Salser with SilverKey.
Jeremy Trujillo, Special Kids, Special Families.
David Prudham, Special Kids, Special Families.
Reb Williams, PPRTA, CAC.
Thanks. I have no authority to do this. Let's do the audience too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Maxwell, Innovations in Aging, Diana Van Auken, Keller Senior Coalition.
Great, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Thanks, Sharon. Okay. And if you're fairly new, and Jessica, by the way, we should introduce Jessica in the back because she's the one that keeps this whole thing together. Jessica Bechtel. If you're new, please say your name so that she can get used to that, because after a while she'll be able to pick up those motions in seconds. But right now she doesn't know who everybody is. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Anybody opposed to the agenda changes? Okay. Do we have anybody from the public that wants to comment? You folks got anything to say? Okay, great. I am going to oversee the election of officers for this year. As many of you know, we had quite a transition towards the end of last year. Lost our chair, actually lost our first vice chair before the end of the year, and then lost our chair near the end of the year. We have 2 folks who have agreed to put their names forward on the ballot for this year. Dick Hyde, who was the second vice chair and ascended all the way to the throne near the end of last year, has agreed to serve as the first vice chair, and Miley Gray has agreed to put herself on the ballot as the chair. Do we have any nominations from the floor for either of those positions? Second vice chair? Super, thank you. Any other nominations? We have a motion on the floor to close the nominations and by acclamation approve them. Do we have a second to that? Second, Lucy, thank you. All in favor? All opposed? Super. Thank you for making that easy on me. Ms. Gray, you may assume your role.
There are going to be some changes made. Okay, so anyway.
First change you need to do is turn your microphone on.
Oh.
Okay, people, just know that I really am not used to the whole Robert's rules and everything, so if I mess up, I expect any one of you to say, we need a motion on that. Okay, hi. So anyway, I'm Miley Gray, Drive Smart Colorado, and I'm honored to assume this role, and I'm giving it a year, and we'll see, but perhaps with Jolene in the ranks, you just don't know what might happen between us. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for letting me sort of run this or chair this committee for a while. I've only been on it for a few years. I know just enough to be dangerous. I am not a transportation. I don't move people. We try and get people to move themselves, but in the most safely way possible. But I think that that we have some room. I think, like Joe said, one thing that we really would like to do is see if we can expand or encourage those who are currently involved with MCC to come back to the table, because I know that everybody has something valuable to contribute, and face-to-face interaction is oftentimes the best way that we can get anything accomplished. So I'm hoping, Joe and I met for like 2 hours, and there's, just in case you're wondering who all, is this okay for me to do this? Is this my opening speech? Okay. Just in case you're wondering who all could be involved, or we would encourage to be involved in this committee, are people from El Paso Park, Teller Counties Park, that was kind of new to me, Alma, Calhoun, Colorado Springs, Cripple Creek, Fairplay, Fountain, Green Mountain Falls, Manitou Springs Monument, Palmer Lake, Rama, Victor, and Woodland Park are communities that could have a voice at this table. And so if anybody knows anybody, I don't guarantee that they might want to make the trek in here, but we could communicate with them, and we want to make sure that they know that they are welcome and encouraged to be a part of this group. So I don't know how.
I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt. I think this is a great place to commend Fountain for being the one municipality that has
constantly
had somebody here and been a constant over the last few years.
And now we have somebody from Teller, so that's awesome. Listen, so another thing that I feel that I can do, since I'm the boss of this chair now, is invite you two. You can't vote, but invite you two to please come sit at the table. Y'all can't see anything back there, anything, right? This is okay. Come on and sit up at the table with us. Was that okay to do that?
No, that was fine. I just wanted to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I'm concerned. I think we need to have someone from Colorado Springs, if not several.
The city?
Yes, from the city itself.
I'll give a real brief recap of where we stand with that. I've made mention of that at the last 2 PPACG board meetings. We have not pushed it. It came as a bit of a shock to some of the city council members that they did not have a representative on this particular committee. So I would not doubt that there's a little bit of work being done behind the scenes to make that happen. But thank you, Sharon. That's a good point. We got some big entities that don't have reps. Brian is the rep from Metro. Is that correct?
Yes, I represent Mountain Metro, which is part of the city, but not the city.
Yeah. And we are working on that.
And just to interrupt, we have a very well-known, famous person who just joined us. Who are you? And he is the second vice chair, too, but perhaps you missed the other second vice chair.
He's now the first vice chair.
Now you're the first vice chair. Now you have a second vice chair. We need to change that name. Okay. So anyway, do you know Jolene? There you go. Okay. All right, so that's what we would like to do, and whatever we can do to encourage our members and community individuals and representatives to come to this meeting would really be, clearly we have chairs available, and we would love to have their voice here at the table. Right?
Can I, if I may ask a question, just so I fully understand this? If let's say I'm a resident of Monument, what are the qualifications to be able, who do you need from Monument to be sitting at this table?
I'm going to defer to other folks.
That the membership is an appointment by that municipality, so all we really need is a letter of appointment from city manager, mayor, basically anybody of authority within that municipality.
Okay.
Is that where you live?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Be awesome. So, say, Dick, do you have anything to say? Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was already acting bossy before you got here, so I was really glad somebody got here. Also, since I have the floor, I would just like you two to just explain a little bit about your organization, since you're guests. Yes.
Please.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm Rachel, and I work for Innovations in Aging Collaborative. And the main thing we do is implement the Age-Friendly Colorado Springs Plan, which is a designation by ARP and the city. And so the Age-Friendly Colorado Springs Plan is divided into 8 domains of livability, and one of those is transportation. And we just seek to make improvements and build programs in all those domains. So as a whole, we make Colorado Springs more livable for people of all ages.
So, are you a non-for-profit?
Yes.
Where do you get your funding from?
We're grant funded mostly.
I'm Diana Van Ocked, and I'm the Transportation Manager for Teller Senior Coalition. We provide a multitude of services for seniors in Teller County, including homemaker services, respite services, handyman, things that we can support our seniors in Teller. And then, of course, we provide the transportation for the Teller senior area. And then we provide a lot of services transportation services into Colorado Springs and work with our seniors.
And I might add, one of the goals of the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments over the next year is to regionalize some of the things that we do. So we will be very interested in further incorporating Teller and Park into the discussions we have. And as many of you know, Teller already has a very active local coordinating committee, LCC, that's headed by Dick Schweitzer, that's doing some really good stuff. So hopefully we can do a little bit more networking with those folks.
Yes.
I just wondered, is there a call-in option for folks from Park? I know that there's some people who are interested in
That's a great question, Jason. We can make that available at any point. Yeah, if we have folks that want to attend from
any of those communities.
From anywhere, yeah, actually. If that gets people to the table, absolutely.
Do we have people, just because I can't remember if you guys sent me something, do we have people already kind of assigned from most of these communities that I mentioned?
No. The short answer is no.
Okay.
We have some folks who may have been on the committee in the past and have not been here for a long, long time. We would need to revisit basically every place except Fountain.
Well, I think that would be a valuable thing to do. So, not exactly, this is my first meeting and everything, but I think that that this is something that we need to explore and see who from the communities, from the councils, the commissions, whatever, who might be a representative from a community to be able to come.
And I would be happy to continue to push the municipalities via the board meeting. I will make a mention this month. I'll be happy to make a mention this month about it. And at the same time, usually those things don't happen until you send out something in writing, so we'll be happy to send out an email just reminding all those municipalities that
Okay.
they have the opportunity to represent, and if they had somebody that would be willing to serve in that role, we
And then maybe would give a little
appreciate it.
blurb as to what this organization does and all that stuff. Yeah, I think that that would be great. So, thank you. And is somebody from Teller County currently on this?
No, at one point in time, we did have a couple folks. Your predecessor was,
Lisa Reed
actually even before Lisa.
attended these meetings, and Kathy Lowry.
Okay, and even before that, your predecessor in the transportation.
So it's been a while.
Maggie was attending along with Ted. We're here at one time.
So if this is something, so your organization is currently listed, but would we have to have an update for a new
we just
sitting
need an
member?
update for the person that's involved.
So Diana, if this is something that
Yes.
we think it would be very valuable for you to
I would like to.
come as much as possible.
Yeah, if you can just get something from Mayor Levy or actually anybody on the city council would be appropriate.
And okay, well, we can talk offline, but, I would like to see a few others other than just city organizations, perhaps some other nonprofits and involved who are interested in the whole transportation situation, and such as Innovations in Aging, just to kind of broaden the scope slightly. I don't want to overstep my bounds in the first 10 minutes that I'm, nominated, but I just think that there's some really great networking and some really great opportunities to continue the mission and the communication of this group. Uh-oh, did I say something wrong, Dick? Okay.
So, Joe, the question I have is to bring this up to... all right, thank you. Okay, Joe, just to bring us up to the 20th century, does Pike Peak Air Agency have the capabilities of blasting this out on the Internet, on the website?
Absolutely. We can put it on our website, sure.
I think that would approach more people saying, I'm dealing with somebody in the 20th century versus calling in and have a phone somewhere. And that I noticed there's a camera up there, and I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about the meeting itself.
The meeting itself,
We don't have the capability to live stream.
Okay.
It's recorded. Every
Right.
meeting is recorded, and
Right.
you're able to watch it retroactively, but we do not have live stream capability.
What would it take to make it live stream?
I don't know. I'll ask.
Why not? Let's stretch it out.
Okay. Yeah, that is a possibility, and it's probably a higher quality if we do that. I will ask that question.
Okay.
And I believe another thing that I felt was very, very important to this meeting that I think Joe is going to also ask is if we might be able to have some refreshments here at this meeting.
Actually, I got that assignment for this meeting and completely dropped the ball. So.
Okay. Well,
It won't happen next time.
I am not firing him, trust me. No. It really takes a lot for me to fire somebody. Just ask Karen and my former employee. No. She knows what I mean, and I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking. No, I just spent the weekend with my former coworker, and Barb would do something, and I'd go, "You're still not fired." Otherwise, I would have been fired by a million people a long time ago. Anyway, okay, well, that wasn't even on the agenda, but I'm glad I brought it up. So now we're supposed to talk about the goals and planning process for 2019. Who might be able to chime in?
I would offer to give us a starting point to that.
Thank you.
Probably the best place to start with that, I mean, obviously the membership is the most important thing. So we've already hit on the key component is getting as many people at the table as possible to have discussions. If you have not gotten a copy of the bylaws of this particular group, please let Jessica know or me know at the end of the meeting, and we'll get one of those emailed out to you. The place to start is to read those bylaws. Mm-hmm. The MCC is a subcommittee of the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments Board. So those duties all flow through the board. Any actions that are taken in this room with this committee are subject to the approval of the PPACG board. That said, They would love the involvement. These are professionals that are in this room. I don't think there's very many people in that PPACG board that get behind the wheel of a bus. So the folks in this room are the ones that are the boots on the ground and know what's going on. So they very much appreciate your involvement. In reading through the bylaws, I went through those with Andy Gunning, our new executive director, and John Leosatos, our transportation director, about a month ago. They are very aggressive. We have, I think, 10 or 11, might even be 12 areas of...
It goes all the way A through M.
Yeah, it's a lot. And those particular objectives maybe go a little bit beyond the scope. They certainly go beyond the scope of what we're doing. I think they probably even go beyond the scope of what we should be doing.
I think so, reading them,
They're pretty broad. Some of those would normally fall within the purview of the local transit agency. So what we've talked about doing is maybe internally having the transportation folks, and John Leosatos has, our transportation director, has dealt with committees very similar to this committee in the past, is sitting down and kind of looking at which ones of those should appropriately reside with this group and which of those responsibilities should be transferred over to MMT in terms of how we do things. So that would be a starting point.
Joe, is this something that we would encourage this committee to do before the next meeting and then openly discuss it, or is this something that first needs to go
I think it can happen simultaneously. We're going to do it regardless. Mm-hmm. We're going to put the list together, and John, with his expertise, can tell us what would traditionally fall in the purview of the transit agency, versus what would fall in the purview of an LCC. And then I'd be happy to bring that forward, send it out for the next meeting. We could talk about it, see if there's things that this group wants to keep or things that this group would like to additionally get rid of. So
can we send out a copy of the bylaws with the next?
We'll just automatically send them out. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Because it's on right there on page 2, and there's a lot of stuff that we sort of talked about that.
Oh yeah, Jessica just mentioned that she'll send the roster along with that,
so that
awesome. We can see who's currently on that. Many of which don't even work at those agencies anymore.
Well, that's right. But so those agencies that are already on could appoint a new member to represent. They're already on the committee. So that's what we also need to encourage, whoever's the top person who's maybe new, doesn't even know about this committee. So.
I'd venture to say the most accurate ones are probably the new folks, like Special Kids, Special Families, places like that. You folks are up to date, but everybody should take a look at it. Mm-hmm. MMT is up to date because they have recently done some changes.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. I think that would be a really great thing to address at the next meeting. If everybody feels confident that maybe between now and a month from now, y'all could take a look at the bylaws, particularly under Section 2 responsibilities. So, and then we can talk about it. Thank you. Anything else to address to the goals and planning process for 2019?
It's up to you folks, but I know a lot of times in these situations the LCC will actually form a subcommittee to look at those bylaws and see if they're up to date. Maybe that's something we can put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Hey, question, Joe, maybe leads into this, but of all the grants that the PPJG, and we were involved in submitting to the state, percentage-wise, how many of those were granted we got the money for? Right now.
Which types of grants are we talking about, Dave?
I'm talking about as we apply for grants and run them through you, percentage-wise, and we hit the state, those are approved.
From the AAA?
Right, yeah.
Through the Older Americans Act grants. Yeah. We met last Friday, and pending approval by the RAC this Thursday, day after tomorrow, and then the PPACG board on the 13th, we were able to tentatively fund 100% of what was requested.
Okay.
I think that's what you're looking for. We had one particular organization that's got some other contingencies that they need to meet, but we have the money to fund 100% of those.
Yeah, see, my next question would be, but there's obviously no need for this. How can we get involved as a committee to help improve getting that grant money? Because we're all going out the same dollar. Mm-hmm. and we just need to get smarter to going after the dollar. And how can we use the expertise in this room to get us more money?
I know in the past, or when I first came, that was there was a little bit of discussion. I know Ted Schweitzer was involved in assisting us in looking at qualifications for certain things that are out there. Most of the money that we distribute through the AAA, which in a lot of your cases is roughly half of what your budget is, that comes through the Older American Act, through the State Unit on Aging, and those criteria. There's a funding formula there that's, I don't want to say it's set in stone, but it's pretty firm. It's not something that we can change a lot. We do get carryover money, and we do get additional funding that comes in, and that's what we're dealing with in this recent cycle. Probably the more flexible funding, if you will, is the funding that comes through federally. And so I know maybe Brian could give a speech on that at some point. I'm not going to put him on the spot today.
When you say federal funding is flexible, that's how we're funded.
It has more options. Let me put it that way, because there's more pots to draw from. Where Older American Act funding all comes out of a single place and it's pretty much set aside. Now, what we do have flexibility with in the Older American Act funding is how much we allocate to transportation versus case management versus assisted transportation, blah, 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 blah. And I believe that the PPACG is in the process of initiating the 2045 specialized, not initiating, they're actually a ways into it, the 2045 specialized transportation plan. So I'm sure they would love the input of this group as that process moves forward. More people at the table, more ideas is the bottom line.
I'm not skipping down to number 7. We'll readdress it, but I think that maybe we have some good ideas of things that we can discuss at the next meeting as well. But goals and planning process for 2019. We'll get the bylaws and we'll start working on that, and then we can take it from there, and as well as the membership roster, because I think that those are kind of good goals to guide how the meetings go and how the committee goes for the next few months.
And I don't want to jump in the middle of this, but I would encourage
jump away.
I would encourage anybody that's interested on maybe doing a little bit more work in that regard to express your interest to Miley, so that we can kind of that jumps us ahead a few weeks in terms of knowing who might be interested in being on a subcommittee to look at those things.
I would like that, because I know just enough to be dangerous, like I maybe mentioned, and just looking at what I know over the past few years, I can kind of tell some things. So I'm pretty sure everybody has an idea. So yes, please, you can do it through Jessica, or you can contact me directly if you all know how to do that. Just let me know. That would be awesome. That would be awesome, and we'll set a little get together, and we'll kind of chat about what we think. Good. Yes, because otherwise this can go into May or something, and that's, so let's get going on it. That'd be awesome. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is training, information sharing, and coordination opportunities. So I think what I would like to do is just sort of start and go around the table, and everybody can go ahead and talk about what's going on in your world. And is this right? Is this what I'm doing?
If there's any significant... All right. Yeah, if you have significant things coming up, I know this is an area that really kind of fell off of the radar for a long period of time, because we used to have a presentation once a month from each of the organizations.
And I really liked that myself personally.
It was great to be able to find out the different things that are going on in the community, and then additionally, I know there's a lot of trainings that transportation entities are required to do. So if you know of those and you can share those, that makes it easier for the other folks to be involved as well.
So this is sort of what I do at the other meetings that I work with, and we kind of call it open forum or whatever, but this is where some networking opportunities, what's going on in your world, trainings, anything else that might be significant to the greater good of the committee. This is an opportunity for you to share. So why don't we begin with you, Lucy?
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
I'm with Discover Goodwill, and we have a transportation program. Largely, it was a closed-door program where we were providing transportation to participants that came into our program, and that has now morphed into a more open-door program. We have implemented a Goodwheels transportation program that is a dispatched type service where elderly or disabled call in to dispatch, and they can arrange rides to doctor's offices or shopping or rehab services, anything like that. And we've launched that probably about 6-7 months ago. I kind of reported that at one of the meetings here. It's going really well. It's kind of had a slow start, but we're kind of gaining momentum. You might have seen the Goodwheels vehicles tootling around town. But it's we have a new transportation manager, too. The transportation program was very specific to the programs that we had. So we had rehab transportation. If you guys remember Kevin Girardi, who was our transportation manager, he ran that program. And then our skilled nursing services had their own transportation program. Our elder care program had their transportation program, and so it was not coordinated under one person, and that we changed that model so that all transportation services, whether it be elderly, whether it be skilled care, rehab, is under Andrew Smith. Andrew is not here today. He was called out for an emergency, but he runs our transportation program now.
So I look forward to meeting and bringing him.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. 2 questions for you.
Yes.
First question is approximately how many rides per month are you going on this program, and what's the cost of each ride?
That I can't tell you. Andrew has those details. But we have increased that because we're taking into account now all programs. So we've got the elder care, we've got quite a few. So we've increased it exponentially. I don't have specific numbers, though.
This leads to a third question. What are the normal business hours for these rides?
They're primarily daytime normal business hours. They start as early as 6 a.m. They go until about 6 p.m. But as we increase ridership, our hours are going to become more flexible.
And Andrew is the primary rep to this committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then service area is where?
It's it goes into as far east as Peyton. It goes into Fountain. It goes as far north as Monument, and it doesn't go into Woodland Park. So just to the city limits.
And I assume that they have to call in advance, a few days in advance with it.
Yes. Yes. We have a dispatch number. We publicize that dispatch number, and folks call into that dispatch number and request scheduled rides.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to let Rosa, and I think we've already presented this, but we're doing a specialized ride service to the, why don't you, because your dad is the driver, which is really cool.
A lot about your dad.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, gosh. We offer a service, Fountain Municipal Transit offers a service from the Senior Center to Garden of the Gods Citizen Service Center. We do it on Wednesdays from, I think he picks up at 9, and he also goes down to Garden of the Gods and picks up people there from at 1, depending on how long their appointment is, and brings them back to Fountain. And we would like more ridership. I think right now they might have 4 families a month, But he was telling me the other day that we need to get the word out more, like maybe put flyers over at Peak Vista, stuff like that.
Excuse me, but I'm the question monster here today.
That's good.
So where do you pick up in Fountain? Is it one central location?
Yes, Fountain Senior Center.
Just the senior, so the people just have to get to the senior center, and then you transport them up there once a day, there and back? Or is it 2 runs a day? You talked about 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. So drop off at 9, leave senior center at 9?
Yes.
So I'm assuming you get to the El Paso County Center 10-ish?
Probably. I would like to note, too, though, that the Fountain Valley Senior Center is on the Fountain Municipal Transit route.
Okay.
So they can ride the fixed route to the Senior Center
right.
to pick up the bus to go to the Citizen Center.
Right. So what time is the return trip coming back from the morning run?
It depends on how long their appointment is. If no one rides the bus to there, he'll go up to the Garden of the Gods, and he'll sit there for a little bit. Sometimes he gets rides back, and
Right.
sometimes he doesn't. So
Right.
he'll just gauge when to come back.
I hope you're successful with this.
Yeah, we're trying.
'Cause it's
We have to
definitely
get the
needed,
word
that's
out
for sure.
more.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about running into Fort Carson? Going up to Fort Carson? doing that way?
With our agreement, we are only allowed to go from Fountain straight to Garden of the Gods.
Okay.
Some road.
Yeah, we can't go into
Yeah.
Mountain and Metro's areas. Yeah.
Okay. Damn politics.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Excuse me,
it
Brian.
is. Yeah.
I have a question. If you can't go in, and I'm aware of your agreement with Mountain Metro, what happens with Goodwill? Are they competing, so to speak, with Mountain Metro?
You know, most of our ridership really are affiliated with programs that we sponsor. And so it's primarily more of a word-of-mouth kind of communications that generate the ridership. That's the best way to kind of characterize it, because we've been providing transportation services for folks that come to Goodwill for years and years and years. So I would say that most of it is individuals that come into the program. Now, with Andrew's background, Andrew came from Bayo. Okay, we hired him from Bayo, and so he's got a different sort of network that's centered around hospital discharges and things like that. So whether we compete with anybody else in that regard, I really can't speak
So
to.
where does your funding from this come from? Does it come from grants, not Riders by itself?
Some of it
Triple
comes
A?
from grant.
Yeah.
Some of it comes from grants. Some of it's Medicare. Some of it is pay. A ride paying kind of.
I mean, because if they're Medicare, they have to qualify for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, just like they do with Mountain.
Dick, the main difference is those are fixed route entities. So
Okay.
Fountain operates a fixed route. Mountain Metro operates a fixed route. They have certain guidelines that they have to fall in relative to territory. Most everybody else in this room is operating in either an on-demand or a scheduled ride situation, which does not have the same constraints.
Okay.
Can I follow up that question then? Your service, and I don't remember, your father and you run it basically, and it's not, it is a fixed route. You reached an agreement with Mountain Metro, and you're only allowed to go to, as far as I recall, it's just a year or two, but you can only go to Citizen Service Center. Literally, you make a stop close by, and there are a lot of retired veterans in
Yeah,
the
we've gotten that. We've gotten questions if we could go to on post to the hospital, or but we haven't really looked into that portion of it.
I was thinking of the new Veterans Hospital that you were
Yeah.
working on. Is there any?
Yeah, we've gotten that question too.
I know, I've heard. Has there been any success moving forward, getting people there? It's got to be between.
We can,
you-
I mean, per our agreement, we can only go to Garden of the Gods, and then,
So luckily, Fountain Municipal Transit dispatch is ran out of the Fountain Valley Senior Center. So if people are wanting to go to the VA or outside of the service center that they can go to, if that person can qualify through any of our funding sources, then instead of going through Fountain Municipal Transit, we'll just run them through Fountain Valley Senior Center. And then we eat the costs of anywhere from 5 to 10% of our rides monthly anyway. So if we have a van going anywhere relative and we can squeeze someone on with capacity, we'll eat the cost.
So you do have a way to get people from that area.
Yeah,
to
and then
the-
we can take anybody senior or disabled to Carson. And we do medication runs every week where we'll go pick up scripts for people from Post and then go drop them off.
I was just inquiring about the vet service when there's so many retired
Yeah.
there.
It's nice that dispatch is ran through us so that if they don't qualify through Fountain Municipal, it's a route they can't do, then we can look at like 4 other funding sources to see if we can do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Zach? Feel free to. Yeah.
No, those are good questions.
Yes, anything
Okay.
else?
So I'm Jolene. Are you guys done? Yeah. Okay, Jolene House with the Fountain Valley Senior Center. We run Fountain Municipal Dispatch as well as our specialized and regular transportation through PPACG and one ride through the city, in addition to all of our senior center services. And the most major thing that our senior center is currently working on is we have entered into a partnership with the city of Fountain, and Widefield School District 3 is a unique district, and they are the only recreation district in the state that's ran through the school district property tax. And so the 3 of us are combining, and the city of Fountain has a citizens committee right now, and we're hoping to get a mill levy on the ballot in November to build a regional community center in the Fountain Valley to encompass Security, Widefield, and Fountain. And the senior center will have dedicated space, so it'll be an intergenerational community center where then we will also run all our transportation through. So we're really looking at building up the community, nothing like being in a job for 5 months and running a mill levy ballot initiative. So the second vice chair thing, no problem. I'll be like, oh, vacation. Yeah, so we just have a lot on our plate as one of the smaller transportation entities. But I come from a big nonprofit background, and my motto is, bite off more than you can chew and then swallow it. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, I'll go ahead and add to this. We had a community meeting last night that I thought was extremely successful. People were very positive, and we're unique. Once you get out of Colorado Springs, things get real, discombobulated. For an example, I live within the city of Fountain. I'm a former city council member, but I'm under Widefield School District and Widefield Sanitation. Now, because I'm under the Widefield School District, I'm already paying a recreational tax. So those of us who are in the Widefield School District will not be double taxed. It's just the city of Fountain, and it's going to be the very same mill levy as what we're already paying. So it's unique. We're excited. We need it. We've tried to get this for years, and it's just.
Will the senior center move?
Yeah, so if this passes, what will be unique about this community center as well is we'll have a municipality as the city of Fountain, a recreation district, and a nonprofit housed in the same building. So then when you're looking at funding sources across the board, we pretty much qualify for anything out there. So it's a really unique partnership where we'll all maintain our own statuses but be housed in the same building. And then a lot of Fountain Recreation and Widefield Recreation can combine forces to offer way better, like T-ball and soccer for the kiddos. So it's a really unique opportunity of such different legal entities coming together as one, housed in one. So, and the unique thing is we'll all still have to have our individual boards, and the politics of it is going to be, super fun. I may start taking Xanax once it passes, but right now we just have, we have a lot of really good momentum, and the city of Fountain hasn't passed a mill levy in, I believe, 28 years.
Like
and
that.
so it's going to be a
Isn't it? Oh.
major endeavor, but the number one voter in Fountain is senior citizens. And last night at the meeting, there's over 50 people in attendance of a community meeting in Fountain, which is really big. And I'm like the Pied Piper of my people. And we had 30 seniors there. I ran free transportation so that they can be a part of what they want in their community.
So, yeah, it's really good. The other thing they're going to put in, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have two different library systems. The city of Fountain is under the Pikes Peak library system, but security, the school district has a separate library system. And that library, as I understand it, will be housed there.
No.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
The library will stay in the Widefield Recreation District, and what
Okay,
that
thank
building
you.
will then be phased into is the pool is crumbling and the locker room is not
Yeah.
ADA compliant, so that's one major reason we need a new rec center. And then in the old rec center, they'll not use the pool in that area. But what will happen with the administrative part is the preschool for School District 3 will still be housed in that building because the new building doesn't have space for the preschool. So School District 3 will still offer preschool through that building. The library is in that building, but the administrative offices are off Main Street, so the library administration will move into that building.
Okay.
So then, the taxpayers are getting even more bang for their buck because they're not just abandoning a taxpayer-paid building, they're reutilizing it to make it more efficient for the needs of the community.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure that didn't come out, so, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Fountain.
Again, I'm Jason DeBuena with SilverKey, and probably the biggest change at SilverKey is the role that I stepped into. For those of you who don't know, I just recently joined the staff and have been on staff for just about 3 weeks at this point. Pat Alice, who has been phenomenal in being able to set the stage and a strong foundation for the organization to really kind of grow and move into the core competencies even further than what we currently do. She remains a support to me through the month of, and then she provided me her personal email pass, so I'm confident I will be connecting with her. What I will share with you is that as we're moving into this leadership team, Victoria has been really kind of giving me a lot of onboarding into the various issues that affect transportation for the population that we care about as well, seniors, and what we need to do to be able to make sure we step through that. So it really is more of an onboarding. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this committee where I can be, and Victoria will remain our person who will be the voting member of SilverKey for this. But one question I do have related to the bylaw conversation, for those who've been involved for the last couple of years, can you just share with me maybe a top 1, 2, or 3 accomplishments that have happened as a result of this, so I know what kind of resource and what kind of support do we need to be involved with from SilverKey, because I don't really have that piece just yet. So I'd sure like to know from your perspectives, what are 1, 2, or 3 accomplishments that this group has done over the years?
I think the call center, right?
It's certainly been a component. I would say just probably the most. I've only been here 3.5 years, but to me, what I've seen out of this particular group is just the coordination and the ability to get to know the people that are in the different places. I know that's not on any goal sheet, is to get to know Jolene or get to know Dick, right? But it's so much easier to make things work if you know the people that are in charge at the other places. So I would say that's probably top of the list. And quite frankly, there's a lot of things that we just haven't gotten to, and that's part of the goal for the next year and a half is to get some of those things moving in the right direction and increase that coordination.
And I think when you review the bylaws, which is supposed to direct our ship, it will come clear, and when we tweak it, then we can really focus on what we're looking at.
I really appreciate that, and that is not to understate the importance of the relationship piece. So again, I think that is probably critical to any path. If you don't have that mutual connection, respect, and trust, then it's difficult for you to actually move things to action. So please know that we will be involved to whatever degree we can be, because we are very invested in this community and in this effort. So thank you, and Victoria, I don't know if you want, or anybody else. Oh, you've got one there.
And congratulations to Victoria, who just got a promotion, I think, out of that whole change.
Transportation. We're still coordination efforts within One Ride. SilverKey, as an organization, we have promoted a new active living program. Currently, we're going to target the Southeast Colorado Springs 80916 area for seniors to come have lunch at our Connections Cafe, and then we're going to either have activities before or after the lunch. So get more seniors active in our neighborhood.
Where is that
Connections Cafe, it's at our site, which is 1655 South Murray. So off of Murray and Fountain. Yep.
Do you have any results yet from, I know you folks were doing some community interactions, some focus groups relative to the idea of volunteer drivers driving their own vehicles. Has that been pursued any further, or are you still working on it?
Yeah, I believe Jason can.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, not at all. So we do have the results of the initial survey from the focus groups. One thing that was probably most fascinating in the results was that, just to back up, what this concept was is, could we use a volunteer cadre of staff, of people out there that would be willing to use their personal vehicles to be able to provide transport for individuals that needed kind of on-demand or on-scheduled rides to various locations. So we would be able to have a different way to partner with people who need rides and volunteers that are willing to drive their own vehicles. The overall summary and the most surprising of the summary to me was that the people that we asked about volunteers, they said, we're interested and be willing to do this, but here's the key thing. We would like the people that we're going to provide rides to be background checked. That was kind of an interesting conversation point that I hadn't, when I read the report, I hadn't anticipated that. So that was one of the high points about what does that mean if we were going to background check the rider, not the driver, or in addition to the driver. So that was just one piece, too. But then the other issue that has become a bigger issue, quite frankly, is the liability. We are struggled to be able to find a way that's a cost-effective solution to be able to get the insurance to be able to cover this. In fact, we just met with the insurance brokers yesterday, and at this point, there's some major limitations that even if we could get the insurance, there's some major limitations that philosophically we need to think about a bit, which is they have a limitation on the age of the driver based on the level of insurance that they've put in play. And when you think about SilverKey's mission and the mission of some of our
volunteers.
Right, it's just a philosophical gap. Going back to the veterans and the military support, one of the things that we had thought about is that this potentially could be a way to step through this, even though it would be a younger category of people that would be volunteer drivers. So we're trying to decide, does that fit in our mission? It was, I think that the outside age was 64, I believe, or something. And we know that there's a lot of people on the road who are 65, 66, 70, and very capable. So that's one thing that we're just kind of thinking about. But if we did move more into this as a volunteer support ride, particularly in maybe a smaller population, we could get some history and demonstrate to the insurers that we've got a way to manage the liability and get some traction with that so that we would be able to get some reasonable rates going forward. Whether we move forward or not is really dependent on whether we can find the funding on the front end to be able to manage the cost of the liability, because SilverKey will not take that level of liability. And so I am meeting with some foundations. Probably Victoria and I will be connecting on some solutions that we might be able to come up with. So that's the kind of the hitch and the giddy up of. I shouldn't say that in mobility because it's not about horse ride. It's about actual vehicles. It's about the gear and the shift to be able to move this into action. And we're really hopeful, but at this point, that liability is a significant barrier.
Well, I would just like.
Senior Uber?
Yes.
Well, so I would like to just say you're not the first one to do this. So there are other organizations out there that have taken this on. And they may have some.
Sorry.
No, I mean, so I appreciate you guys thinking out of the box.
Thank you for that. And just so you know, we did connect with 3 of them across the nation that are doing this.
And what we learned about their liability insurance that they've put in play, it was enhancing the personal liability of the driver. That's right, but it didn't actually protect the organization. And so that's the piece that organizations have elected to use this to be able to broaden, and the organization took a bigger risk than we're probably in a position to do so at this point. That's the key difference.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right, well, I appreciate it.
I'm David Prudhomme with Special Kids, Special Families, and we service the special needs community, and we take people as far north as Monument, as far south as Fountain. We go about 8 miles east of Falcon. We have 15 vehicles. 9 can do wheelchairs. It takes 28 staff a day to run the vehicles because we have a rider on there. A lot of our clients have seizures. Some of them pick on the other clients. You know, these are people that have to be watched all the time. We transport about 1,400 people a month. We have an adult center with about 80 adults and a child center with about 40. And our funding is through TRE, the State Resource Exchange, and we get a lot of grant funding. Miss Ellegard is quite the grant writer, if anybody knows her. So we're an in-house only. We get requests all the time for people to, get rides, but we just don't have room. And we operate our transportation just Monday through Thursday. We used to do it 5 days a week, but then we'd have some people would come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Some people, so we told everyone you have to combine it, and it saved us about $50,000 a year getting that one day off. The center is open, but on Fridays people have to find their own way in. So, any questions?
I think that Drive Smart has come in the past, a few years ago, and given presentations on child passengers, car seat safety, and just for some people who don't have the extreme need of needing that type of transportation. So I think that we've actually worked with you all in the past and would be happy to do it again. You can talk to us if there's any way we can assist.
That would be great. Thank you.
Dick, officially.
Let me speak up now.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dick Hyde. I'm the Transportation Coordinator, Transportation Program Manager for Community Intersections. Community Intersections, we work with adults with disabilities, kind of like Special Kids, Special Family. We pick them up and take them to one of 4 programs, 3 of which are paid positions. We recycle cable for the city. We take people down to Fort Carson where they wash dishes, and those in the military, we do produce a lot of dishes. Then we do a work skills program, and then we do a day program. And we run these 5 days a week. Last year we did 14,000 rides. We have a small fleet of 8 vehicles. All of them are wheelchair accessible. Our riders are medical fragile and have various medical problems. If they have 1, they have 2. If they have 2, they have 3. And then Monday through Friday. Any questions?
Dick, are you folks operating under a temporary director now, or have you named?
Thank you very much. So, an interim director has been named. Just our current director, Terry Holmes, is retiring on the 8th of March. So hopefully next month I can come down here with our interim director. Interim director is the assistant director right now. Marky Miller. Yeah, Marky Miller. She's been in the business for a while. Yes, yeah, Marky. It stands for Marquita, is her true name. Okay, so I thought I'd throw that in. And then, and another thing is just for a little more information sharing. Last month we invited, actually we were talking to CDOT, and they said we need to come down and see what's going on. So CDOT got invited themselves to our operation. It was very eye-opening coming from the state level down to us. They didn't look at any of our vehicles. We were surprised. Didn't look at any paperwork. It wasn't an inspection. It was an informal visit. And actually, they walked and met some of our clients to see how we load and unload buses. We sat down and talked funding. And that's for 2 hours we talked funding. And I'm not a funding guy. I'm an operations guy, you know. But I do care about funding because when community intersection gives me a check, I want to be able to cash it. So that was very interesting on my point, and how the state thinks and how the state looks at stuff from the cloud level and down was very interesting.
And what office from CDOT came down? Like, we operate under the Office of Highway Safety. Do you know what?
CDOT. I think
CDOT.
they're the money people, so they're the grant approvers and everything like that, which is really
interesting.
What's that? There's an office that takes care of their grants. Yeah. So that's what we did. It was 3 of them came down. It was very interesting. All of them were very nice. Had some great questions, and some that caused us to think about going, we need to look at this again. So, but it was a very, very nice visit. Yeah, we have bureaucrats, you know how they are. So. Yes, they do. Yeah, they have certain rules to follow, and they're following the rules just like everybody else does. Yeah, I'm sure they take their cut too, just like everybody else. Yep. So. You got to not speak into this microphone.
That's what I wanted to do. I'm representing the CAC here.
Which stands for?
Citizens Advisory Committee for PPRTA. I happen to be on several other committees. I guess this applies because I've heard about parts of Teller County and parts of Park County not being involved. And I want to ask one question. Have you ever considered holding one of these meetings for the sake of discussion in western Teller County? I don't know where, well, I know where Sheridan lives. It's way south. It's a long drive. And for the people from Park County to come here, I know there's times I've never come through Fairplay in, December and January because I've been whiteout blizzards, and I'm from the mountains, so to speak, and you're trying to include a large area. That's point one. And point two, and maybe this is supposed to be discussed for action items the next meeting, this is part of the area council and area aging group of people, and I probably fit into the category pretty deeply. I was at a meeting last night regarding bikes, and it's part of CAC, does nothing to do here. The turnout was probably in the neighborhood of 300. It was completely overwhelmed, the room that we were in, number one. It was more than standing room only. They are addressing a group of people in the age group of 35. If you're 65 or older, we were, quote, disinvited, and I literally walked out after that. I'm serious. It was.
They didn't. They literally disinvited you?
No. I just walked out.
Oh, okay. You felt that you were not included in the process.
Literally, the mayor and the president pro tem addressed it and said, anybody over 65, we don't care about. And I'm sorry, I'm well over 65. Now, I'm not saying I'm taking that personal. The issue was the bike lanes, okay? And that's transportation, that's metro mobility. It's a part, to me, it's a part of you. I think you ought to have a representative. They surely, God, they had so many people there. Those that were opposed to bike lanes or how they're being implemented and whatnot far outnumbered those of us that had serious questions or would rather see something different. And then, because most of us that were concerned were more experienced in life like myself, okay? And I just felt, what's the point in staying there?
What was this the forum that was sponsored by the Gazette?
Gazette and KKTV.
Okay.
And then there were 3 other sponsors. Yes, they were the third one listed, though.
They must be the under 65 AARP members.
Yeah, I wondered how they took it, but there was an attorney. McDivitt was the second one. The first one was a bike shop owner, pro bike shop owner from downtown, and he's got a new shop on the east side of the Springs. I think it was a great idea, but a problem I had with it, it wasn't an open forum. So I had a question. When I say that, I'd already written it out. You came up with a question before me. When I say that, it was all done by online and whatnot. I didn't understand the point of an open forum because my question was answered because yours was read first. But in answering that, 3 more questions pop up. There was no discussion, so to speak, or open forum like they said. And it wasn't very well advertised because I would guarantee you there would have been half a dozen people from the CAC there at the meeting because we have some real issues that we hear about regularly about the bike lanes. And all of this is about mobility. When I'm talking a big picture. You're talking about cloud view from CDOT. I'm involved with CDOT from years of contracting. And their hands are tied, but their mouths aren't taped shut. And they were pretty damn tight when they talked about the GAP project, okay? And that has this PPRTA CAC very concerned how much are they misleading or flat not telling that they know about. I have regular meetings with a CDOT engineer up in Monument.
So, Reb, what would you like
I'd like to see
meet us to do?
I think they need to get a bike group. You're for mobility. The promotional deal with the city is we need bikes to be more mobile. I literally have a postcard from 1951 that shows Pikes Peak Avenue, 3 full lanes on each side, and diagonal parking, okay? And it was the time they rebuilt the Antlers Hotel, and it's a photograph going west. Today, there is 1 lane on each side and limited parking.
Right.
That's a hell of a way to improve. By the way, the population of that town at the time was around 40,000 people, and I'll guarantee you there was nobody coming from eastern El Paso because they're all ranchers or farmers, and they didn't come to town but once a while.
So I would like to say that I was hoping to be able to attend the meeting last night as Drive Smart Colorado, but I was stuck in the middle of the GAP project driving back from DIA. Let me tell you about that for an hour to get from Castle Rock to Monument at 9 o'clock at night. But anyway, that's another story. So I really don't know much about who organized that, who was facilitating that meeting, who was moderating that meeting, what was the purpose of that meeting. I don't know much about it, but I will be more than happy to find out more about that meeting. And so are you suggesting, I just want to see what exactly you're suggesting. Are you suggesting some bicycle advocates come to this meeting, or
I think they should be represented here because, and I don't know whether as a citizens group, because they're not a profit thing, but they are making demands on the infrastructure that is supported by PPRTA. Each one of you are taking a thing. One's the Mountain Metro. One of them's Goodwill that is taking care of transportation. What needs might come forward from them as have come forward from a bicycle group that is better organized than...
Well, and that's the thing about that. That's why they didn't need to advertise much, because the bike groups all heard about it, and that's how that kind of happened.
I would suggest that
Clearly enough people heard about it. They couldn't even fit in the room, it sounds like. But
no, they were sitting out.
Yeah.
50 feet behind the double
so,
doors. I just think it's a group that should be considered to be to understand the needs of each of these groups and what they deal with for funding.
Okay. So is this can we consider this a little bit more what you're talking about and talk about it for the action item for next week? Because it is interesting. Was somebody from a bike group ever at this meeting? You've only been here 3.5 years ago, but I want to say a long time ago.
I don't know that we've ever had any association. And since this group deals predominantly with specialized transportation.
Right.
it just does, there's not a lot of crossover. As kind of a side note, though, to what Rev said, I think it'd be extremely helpful if we had a better idea what all those varied funding sources are that everybody in this room works out of, just to know where, where does SilverKey get their money from versus Goodwill get their money from. That would be a great education for me, I know, just to know where everybody's funded from.
Okay, and how do we go about doing that? Do we just submit
Just
it?
have each group explain how difficult it is to get the grants. One of them just said a comment that was interesting. Grant fund writing is difficult. And
sorry.
So if you get somebody that knows what they're doing, hang on to them, because you may pay them, for the sake of discussion, you may pay them $50,000. I can guarantee you they're worth probably $500,000. And yes, I have done some grant writing. And no, I'm not. I'm retired.
So I don't know. Is this something we should just ask people?
That may
to
be
submit?
something that subcommittee can pursue.
The same
in terms
bylaws.
The Regional Advisory Council has quit calling that subcommittee a specific topic because it keeps changing.
Okay.
So
ad hoc
I'm sure it could be an ad hoc special topics group if you wanted to. But I think that'd be a great education for everybody to know where all those funding sources come from.
I think the bike people, aren't they on some? I know I have attended a meeting in this very room, but it was years ago, that had to do that bicycle people were on it. There was all kinds of transportation on it. Is there another Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments meeting that somebody would have been?
There's generalized transportation meetings relative to the TIPS or to the in this case the 2045 plan.
Okay, and so bike people could have been on it.
Absolutely.
They are a very vocal group.
We have one member on the CAC that is typically out of sync with the other 16 voting members. And
Are they on the bike?
he's very narrow-minded. It is interesting that he's the only one that's willing to talk financial things, and I learned something from the lead up to yesterday's meeting. There's $500,000 in taxes paid to the city from two different taxes, and boy, I watched them close, and I don't know where it is. So my particular question last night, when were these two taxes passed, and where's that $500,000? It's an annual report that combines to make $500,000. I mean, your tax might only make $100,000, but his gets $400,000. I have no information, and I study the ballots pretty close. Okay. So I feel remiss. But literally, I think I might need to talk to Joe and Andy about some of this, because Joe.
Yes, chime in, Jolene, here.
I would just like to chime in.
We have about 15 minutes before we're going to adjourn.
For who we serve sitting around the table for MCC and a lot of specialized door-through-door transportation, I don't think really any of us have clients that are capable of using bikes as their mode of transportation, because if they did, they're wasting a seat on my specialized transportation bus, because it is people with higher level needs and it's door-to-door transportation. So I don't think the crossover between the bike ridership group is the problems necessarily that this committee is looking at addressing for our geographical area. Because if our people could be riding a bike, they wouldn't be utilizing the services that they're utilizing.
I understand that. But if I take a lane of my vehicle traffic and make it dedicated to you, the bicyclists, it's going to slow me down, and then therefore slow you down if you're using that road. And I know Goodwill is primarily Metro Colorado Springs. And all I'm saying is their request for more bike paths or bike lanes and bike routes could impact your ability to do what you do, which is more specialized. And I agree with you. I'm not immobile yet, but I'm not riding a bicycle anymore. Sorry.
So I think if you would like to just talk to Joe and Andy a little bit more about this, and then we can see how we might be able to proceed, or if this is the appropriate avenue for this, for these members or whatever. But I am very sorry to hear that they were dismissive of those 65 and over. But I also heard just on the news this morning that their entire goal is to attract more of the middle range people who do transport to get an influx of those people interested in moving to this community and working in our community. And there are things to be said about that. So anyway, but let's move on if we could, because we would like to get out of here in 10 minutes. And so, ladies, I believe that you've already kind of said your thing. And yes.
A couple things if I could add. Thank you. So I did want to let you know that Lisa Reed, our executive director, has resigned. Kathy Lowry is our interim executive director for Teller Senior Coalition. I wanted to provide just a little bit more overview on our transportation services. We are a not-for-profit. Our transportation we provide is on-demand and fixed bus route services. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Reb, excuse me, could you turn off? Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And we do provide transportation for all of Teller County residents. So we provide transportation Cripple Creek, Florissant, Divide, Woodland Park. And we do have a connection with Cripple Creek Transit on Wednesdays. They come into Woodland Park, and then we have the fixed bus route on Wednesdays that covers all of the shopping in Woodland Park area. Joe had mentioned the local coordinating council that we have. We did have a meeting on February 20th. Those meetings are held majority of the time in Woodland Park. We do also go up into Cripple Creek for an occasional meeting there. But the attendance has been really good. It's been improving a lot. And certainly all of you guys are invited. We do have now a website that's established for Teller County. It's called tellermobility.com or tellertransit.com. It will take you to the same place in order to get more information out in regards to our transportation in Teller County and be able to increase our ridership. We do provide a lot of transportation into Colorado Springs. So we'll do Cripple Creek, Florissant, Divide, all of Teller County, bring our riders into Colorado Springs. We did provide 112 trips into Colorado Springs in January. Most of our ridership, and we have had an increase in Woodland Park of specialist providers with UC Health up there now. So we've really seen an increase with our community using the Woodland Park medical facilities, which has been a real bonus for our community. We do have 6 part-time drivers, 4 volunteers. We have 6 vehicles, 2 are wheelchair accessible. We're in the process of any day now receiving a 3rd wheelchair accessible vehicle. And our funding sources are AAA. We have a 5311 grant. We provide Medicaid, NEMT services, and then we have some smaller grants.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Joe, anything to add on your end?
Real quickly, I note that most of the people around this table are specialized transit entities. If I recall correctly, the bylaws allow us 10 organizations, so we're pretty close to that. I think we're at 9 right now. So if there's other folks that should be involved in this group that aren't, that'd be certainly a group to target. Obviously, the biggest group to target are the primary folks that are supposed to be here, which are the municipalities. So we'll keep working on that. I just want to mention that we're getting ready to start our next funding cycle. It is baffling to me that we are getting ready to start our next funding cycle, considering we finished the last one last Friday. Hopefully, the next year will not be as crazy as the last 2 years, and we will be able to dish out our money in a more timely fashion. That's all I got to say.
I'm not sure how bylaws work, but the way that it works in the legislature is that if you put a bill up that's already been introduced, and then if you reopen a bill, that means it's free for all, pretty much. You can change anything. So is that the same with the bylaws, that we might be able to look at other aspects of the bylaws?
It's kind of up to you folks how you want to handle that, but I know the way we do it on the Regional Advisory Committee, the RAC, is it's a committee and it's reviewed on hopefully no longer than about a 4-year span, but oftentimes more often than not, and they can make any recommendations they want. These bylaws are all subject to the approval of the PPACG board.
All right. So we can make any, so the last time they were amended was April 10th, 2013. Just FYI. Okay, thank you. Karen, quickly, anything?
Or I'm fired.
Or you're fired. No, you're never fired, remember?
So for those of you who are not familiar with Drive Smart Colorado, we are traffic safety for the entire family, from itty-bitties in car seats all the way up to the older driver over 65. We love those guys. So currently our grants have us a little bit fenced into the category of college campus traffic and pedestrian safety and military-specific traffic safety and pedestrian safety. So right now that's kind of our main goals, but we still do child passenger safety, the annual Colorado High School Traffic Safety Challenge, which has been going on for 30 years, and CDOT's graduated driver's license laws. We also teach that to parents and young drivers. What I think is going to impact you all the most is there is a car seat national standardized child passenger safety technician certification training. Yes, I'm looking at you guys down there at the other end. For understanding and being able to place car seats in vehicles safely. So if you work with adults that have children, or if you work with children who have challenges, this is a great place to start. And I only have 3 of them, but if you're interested in this, there is some monies available to help cover costs. It is a 3-day training, and there is one in Colorado Springs, April 15th through the 17th, and it's going to fill up fast. So if you're interested in these, they are situated in other areas as well. So put those out there for everybody. And then last but not least, we are the producers of the Colorado Guide for Aging Drivers and Their Families. Now, this guide is designed to be a support for keeping the older driver in their car safer longer. We also partner that with our Car Fit presentations, where we actually teach the older driver a little bit about what's possible and what's available to help keep them in their car safer longer. Older drivers tend to have an unfortunate attitude of suck it up and just deal with it. So we've seen some very creative things along the way, not necessarily safe, but creative. We give points for that. And we try to help them understand the technology and what's in their car and make it safer for them in the long term. On the flip side, this is also a great conversation starter for those of us who are dealing with older drivers who are perhaps getting towards the end of their driving capabilities. They're either easing... They might not know it. They may be easing off driving at night, which is totally understandable. They may be easing off driving during high traffic hours, which is totally understandable. But it kind of gives them an overview, the family, an overview of how to begin those conversations, what to put into effect with their family members to keep their family members safe. My theory is we spend the first 10 to 15 years of our lives not driving a car, being chauffeured everywhere, and it's not unlikely to spend the last 10 to 15 years of our lives being chauffeured a lot more. We've expanded our life expectancy rates. We've almost doubled them in the last 100 years, and we've added driving to that mix, and we're dealing with the silver tsunami, which is coming on us very, very fast. And so this is an essential book. I'm going to pass these around. I have half a box here. There is 120 per box. We have cases and cases and cases of them in our warehouse. We would love to disperse them to you and your organizations and anyone else who can use them. Please call us. Our phone number is on the back of the book. Thank you very much. And I'm done.
And Karen forgot to mention that the other third of our grants are on the older driver, so that's why we're here. Okay, just moving right along.
Real quick, Brian Champion. I represent Mountain Metro Transit. We have several layers of service. Our main service is the fixed route, and we service most of the metro area of the city. We also offer our Metro Mobility, which is a paratransit service for those that, because of a disability, are not able to use the fixed route system either some of the time or all the time. and that is a curb-to-curb and/or a door-to-door service. And then the city offers a specialized transportation program, and that is defined as above and beyond our paratransit service. The city contracts with 4 human service providers to provide that service, and they're in this room. If a person with, I should define that. Our eligible clientele for the specialized transportation are seniors and people with disabilities. Seniors, anywhere in the service area of our 4 human service providers, they could receive service from curb to curb all the way to a very, just a very high level of service, which is door through door. So the bus driver will escort the passenger from within their residence to the bus, and from the bus into the place of their destination, a doctor's office, or wherever they're going. So a very high level of service. For a person with disabilities, if the trip has an origin and destination within the Metro Mobility service area, so we don't send multiple buses to the same areas, the level of service has to be door through door. If the trip has a destination or origin outside of the service area, then any level of service, curb to curb, all the way through door. And then the Metro Transit also has another layer of rideshare programs. So we have carpools, and we sponsor a van pool program, which is quite popular. The city provides, through grants, a van pool which participants will pay to participate in. There's a designated driver and up to 9 passengers. And the majority, from my understanding of the trips, or the routes for the van pools, are from the Springs up into the Denver area, mostly in the tech center area. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would you folks like to wrap it up? Wrap up the meeting, but take your time.
Yeah, we're
You're
of course.
Last but not least. I didn't mean that in a bad way.
Waukesha and Craig from Invita. And so pretty much what Brian was saying, we partner with them as well. But we are a specialized transportation service. We go through the door through door. And we do have where we're running a fixed route as well now from here to Callahan. So we're working on that. And we'll have, 2 runs going throughout Tuesday, Thursdays. We're working on doing Monday through Thursday. And so opening that up. So we're going 3 times a day versus the 2, what we're doing now. We also have in-home services, IHSS, so we're taking care of people where they're able to stay in their homes, and people they know, we're able to employ them to take care of them. So we do that as well. Craig, do you want to speak on anything?
No, I'm like Jason. I've been in with Invita now for 3 weeks. I basically came from 28 years of transit service on the public sector, so I'm learning the nonprofit side of it now. Very interesting. I'm learning a lot. But again, I'm learning. So I don't really have a lot to offer up right now, more than I'm just absorbing everything as we go along and meeting all the new people that I get to work with and learn all about the exciting challenges of nonprofit. So thank you very much.
We do, yeah. NEMT as well, and our funders are, we're 5311 as well. AAA, Medicaid, and other small grants as well. Yeah, but we do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I would like to suggest that we have some action items set for the next meeting. And if anybody has anything else more specific that they would like to talk about at the next meeting, please shoot me an email or Jessica, and we'll make sure that it gets on the agenda. One thing of interest, if people are interested, I might like to suggest that we bring back, the potential for a speaker to come briefly to the meetings, talk about your business. I will say that I'm about to join the Senior Resource Council, which is I just discovered. And that is an incredible group of people who have been around for 30 years coming together monthly. And we had a special guest speaker at that meeting the other day, and that was Detective Chuck Shokowski, common spelling. You know, I have a hard time with Chuck's name, and I've known him for years. He gave an incredibly interesting presentation on guns and people with dementia. And it was a shocking topic to people sitting in that room, most of whom they go into the home, caregivers. And if this is ever of interest to bring in a different type of speaker to this group, I would like to offer that I invite Chuck for a brief presentation. It's brief, but it is eye-opening, let me tell you. Guns are kind of like car keys. People don't like to give them up, and when they have dementia, they get more and more. And there's a video that he shows of a retired police chief and sheriff and for 40 years, and he accidentally shot his wife and didn't know that he did it. And so it's very, very powerful. I think it's something that we should all be thinking about if you have not, and you have anyone who goes into a home or deals, frankly, or picks people up. So if this is something of interest, just let me know. Okay, so,
Okay, I had a friend who had to deal with this with her husband.
It's in the home.
It's within and it was,
yes.
It worked out. Let's just say it, and I'll let it go.
So if this is something that this group thinks that it might be an opportunity in a month or two when we have a brief moment, if this is something that you think might be of interest, which I think it would be, to invite more people to it, perhaps. Okay, so anyway. All right, well, that's awesome. Okay. There, I've done my good deed for the day. So if there's not any other further news or information from this group, do I have to make a motion to close the meeting?
You have the authority to
Motion
do
to
it yourself.
Oh, I have the authority.
But before that, I just want to remind everybody, the meeting is on the same day next month.
The fourth Tuesday
It's always on the
of
fourth
every
Tuesday.
month at 9:30 in the morning.
The 26th next month as well.
And March and
And
April until eternity.
Jessica does a wonderful job about getting that information out to you. Roughly a week in advance is what we try to get that out.
But if you need to get me anything, please do so. Yes.
I just want to say something really quick. Like, you know when somebody asks you, like, where were you on 9/11 and you always remember? I just want to say as I'm looking around this room, I will always remember this moment. My 27-year-old brother had a double lung transplant on Sunday, and it's taken everything in me to not cry while I'm sitting here. They just sent me a text, and he is extubated and took his first breath with his new lungs sitting here. So you guys will forever be a good memory, so thank you.